Hello, guys. Welcome once again to the Young Christian and Married podcast. And I'm your very own person, Benjamin. And as always, my wife is here with me,
Hello.
Esther. It's good to come your way again today. Today we have very special guests with us, people that we respect so much, that has made so much impact in the relationship and marriage ministry, and also in Christendom as a whole. There are people that are very close to my heart, and we have Reverend Oyis and Pastor Anwili Ojekere, also known as the Winlows. Welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Today we'll be discussing a topic that is really very important now, because many of the people we have in the world today, they are more concerned about our ministry. They are more concerned about the ministry than talking about family and involving their family in their mission and their ministry and trying to get there. We always say put God first in everything, and then we forget family. Maybe when we are putting God first, we cannot be wrong. But then we know that it's possible to be wrong when you neglect family because you're facing your ministry or your mission. So we'll be looking at the topic marriage, ministry, and mission.
Okay.
And we are going to link these three into ways that we can serve together as a couple, why we love each other, and the family front is not suffering because of the ministry, and we are able to run our mission and get to the finish line without, that is running your mission well. At the end of the day, nothing is suffering. Family life is okay and ministry life is okay. That is what we're going to talk about today. So I'll ask my wife to handle the first segment for
Okay.
today.
Welcome, guys. So my first question would be, how do you prioritize family and ministry? I have followed your ministry from, should I say the onset? From the schools to schools. I don't know how you mentioned.
School.
Exactly. Then to stage play.
Yeah.
Then now we're talking about movies.
You really followed.
Movies. To having a church or being a pastor at a church at Ring Road, to now being your own pastors, having your own full-time ministry, being a mother, being an intercessor. Because almost every week I see you out there. Whether you're at Uniben, you're doing so much for ministry, and I understand the intercessory ministry because you are out for the people. And one thing is, the more you work for God, the more it gives you more job. It just keeps opening you up. And if you are not careful, you may not even realize that something is lacking.
Sure.
So now the question is, how do you remember, oh, I have a daughter. Oh, I have not cooked. Oh, I have a husband. Not just being, the ministry. How do you balance it?
Okay, that question is supposed to be going
No,
to me or both of us? Okay, ladies first, right? Okay, so again, it's a lot, and of course, it's worth having to ask this kind of question. So I'll first of all start by saying the truth is we're not perfect in the balancing. That's the truth. We're married for 11 years, and one of the things that have helped us navigate this journey is that first of all I have my mom-in-law in the same city. That's my husband's mom, and we have my sister. I have my sister, my blood sister, staying with us, and then we have the help of some trusted, ladies that are around us and all of that. Then also because for my husband, because most of the time, some of the invites we get, because we're on itinerary ministry, we are usually almost always together. Yeah, so that helps with the whole thing,
That's
talking
true.
and all.
Yeah.
Though sometimes also, we're also very conscious. We have to be conscious not to bring in the ministry too much into the marriage, where it now becomes more like an administrative marriage than having the family. Because sometimes you're not careful, you church,
Yes.
you're talking church matters and all that, and then you don't talk about yourselves, all that. So we have to come with the intentionality, consciousness. They're having to do with our daughter. It's the fact that we have the help of these persons around, my mom, my sister, trusted helps from proteges, and then some of the times my mom also comes into the city. So because of that, you know, it's one thing for you to leave your home, but you are sure that your daughter is in a safe place, a safe environment. And then when we are around, that kind of thing. You know, for us, it may not be in the quantity of the time, but it's in the quality of the time.
Yeah.
So when we're around, we are really around with her, you know, all of that. So like today, for example, should I say today? Okay. Like when she had to round off her, you know, her primary 6 exam, and she had to her dad had to drop her off, even though there's someone that's always available for that. Dropped her off, and then for, you know, it's and then just made the day quite colorful for her. So when we're around, we are around, and we try our best also to make out time when she has an extension of, you know, knowledge beyond the academics. Like the dad had to get in someone to teach her video editing and all of that. You know, all of those things we try to do to put here to also make her in tuned with what she's
always around.
So she's around.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Okay, so
Okay, the truth is that managing ministry and family is one thing that is not easy. You know, as pastors, you really would want to have time for your own family, but you realize that you are carrying a lot of burdens, you are carrying a lot of people's cases. You know, certain times you find it difficult to pray for your own family because you need to intercede for church, you need to intercede for a lot of people. So it's one thing that is not easy, you know, where even when you're at home, you need to study, you know, and make sure you equip yourself for the people. And you don't know that gradually you are forgetting your own, you know. So what we do is that we try as much as possible to be very deliberate, you know, about our own. Very, very deliberate. You know, certain times you just realize that we've forgotten ourselves, you know. Then my wife tries to call me to order, and like, have you spent time with Ima? You know, it's true, Jerry. Let me go create time, you know. So we have to put those checks so that we don't lose out at the home front. You know, we can't be winning in the public, and yet we are losing in our homes. And the beauty and the success of our ministry is because we are winning at home. So we must fuel the home front so that our ministry will continually be a blessing to life. So it's something that we are very, very deliberate about. You know, very, very deliberate about.
I think it's we definitely be something to be deliberate about, because my pastor says something. You know, he said a pastor's life is multidimensional. Someone calls you that they lost someone, and you go to the hospital, you're trying to commiserate to the family, and you receive a text, I just got a new car. So it's like, you are crying and you are happy at the same time, because you have to show another emotion to that person that got a car. So it must be a deliberate matter to be able to manage those.
It's very intentional.
Okay, so I have another question.
Okay.
Now, I think for the younger ones, for us, the younger ones, people have argued, you know, especially those young men who are burning for God. Father, use me, I'm a vessel. They have argued that maybe ministry comes before family, some family comes before ministry. So what do you think? Which comes first?
Okay.
Family or ministry?
If ministry comes before family or family comes before ministry. The truth is that the first assignment God gave us was for our family. You know, from the beginning, instituted family. Family is our first ministry.
Yes, sir.
You know, and like I said before, the success of the family will determine the success of
the ministry.
The ministry. And if you cannot effectively pastor your wife, or your wife cannot effectively pastor the husband, how do you want to pastor people outside? And that is where a lot of ministers fail, you know. You realize that certain ministers, they just bring mockery to the gospel, and in the sense that, you know, whilst they preach and while they admonish people, you realize that the people will say, oh, glory, thank you, glory, glory, and at the same time they are pointing out like, if the gospel works, why is it not working for your family? You understand? So So that is our first assignment. I realize that many people just say, no, I care about the people comes first, the people come first. But the point is this, if you are failing in your family, it has a way of affecting the ministry.
Yes.
So we must prioritize the family, before the ministry. Except you have an exceptional call from God, where God tells you, there are some people that have become eunuch for the gospel, where God says,
to be like a Paul.
Yes, you do not need a wife, you do not need a husband. I need you solely for the work. On that ground, you are free to go. But when you have decided to take a partner in your life, that person becomes your first ministry, and the person must adequately be carried along. So that you can succeed in what God has called you to do.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So, sir, we'll just look at serving together as a couple.
Okay.
Because I think that is what you're doing with Mama. You serve together with First Lady as a couple. People feel like, people have argued that serving together leaves the home front like totally neglected, though we've handled that. But then there must be some benefits of serving together, doing the ministry together.
Yeah, okay, there are benefits and there are advantages and also disadvantages. You understand? So there are advantages and disadvantages for virtually everything, Serving together, the advantage I think is it's more. The scripture says 1 will chase 1,000, 2 will chase 10,000. So what it means is that we win more. So since we serve together in ministry, if I have the capacity to chase 5 because I have my wife with me, I can now chase 10. It makes it easier. There are people that would not listen to me on a good day, but they would listen to my wife, and there are some people that would not listen to my wife on a good day. They would want to listen to me. So somehow the synergy means that we win more together. That is the benefit. The disadvantage on the other side, which God has helped us with, but in the early stage of our marriage, this was a challenge, where it meant that we didn't have hands in the home, that's in our house. We get to travel a lot and, neglecting the home front. In as much as we get people to help us handle a lot of things at home, there's nothing like you being at home or one of us being at home, managing it. That can be a disadvantage. But however, I think it is, I don't want to say it is better, because there are some Christian couples where one is into ministry and the other is not into ministry, where people do career jobs, because we need to put a balance there. The fact that God called you into ministry doesn't mean that your partner must be into ministry. You need to be sure that your partner is called into ministry so that you can carry your partner along. So you would not want to use our templates as, Pastor Is and the wife, they are doing very well and all those stuff. So I'm called, my wife is called, so I met her called, when I got married to her. So what if she has a career she's running, so she can, that doesn't mean she's not supporting you.
She's not supporting, exactly.
So she can be a medical doctor and she's doing very well, and yes, she's still a part of your ministry, but she doesn't have to be a pulpit minister. She can support from behind, even be around for the family while you go out traveling and everything. So you just see what works for the home and you apply it. So we are not giving one rule that fits all. So it's what works for your family that you.
Because that what you just said is really a problem for families. When the wife is not like fully in the ministry, it looks like you're just allowing your husband to travel. You're at home, you're doing nothing. Why is she not part of it?
So and I think another thing my husband already mentioned, we need to define what being part of the ministry is. Because I've seen many men who are into ministry, at the end of the day, try to force their wife into the pulpit part of the ministry, and they begin to feel insecure, because that's not them. I know a pastor's wife who told me that she preferred to be in the choir You know, she even prefer to be in hospitality, like just ministry of help, like just taking care of people when they come in. She don't have to hold the mic. Well, her husband has to like choke her, force her. She must hold the mic. She must lead, and that's not her. You know, that's not the part. That she's not loud doesn't mean she's not supportive.
Yeah.
That she's not, I mean, out there doesn't mean she's not supportive.
Yeah.
So, and this is something that a lot of men in ministry need to understand.
Yeah.
Because if care is not taken, they begin to compare their wife with some other women. You know, you force your wife to host women's conference, and that's not what she's meant to be. And for you just make her, you know, in the bid of your wife trying to be relevant in a quiet space, you make her feel irrelevant, thinking, you know, just because you feel like she should be out there, and she ends up becoming irrelevant, or you are making her relevant. You know, so these are things that needs to really be checked. What do you define as partnership? That I'm partnering my husband doesn't mean I must be out there. It's just like a CEO owns a company. You know, he's the CEO, doesn't mean he's good with accounting management. But he brings in people who are good, you know. So these are things, the same way with me. So you have to identify what the strength of the person is. You know, the person can be in something that the person is not strengthened to be in, and then the spouse helps there. So that's also partnership. But when you can identify that this is the actual strength of your partner in ministry, then by all means allow her stay there. Don't now begin to force her into something that she's not, and then you make her miss her. In fact, she becomes low in her esteem. You know.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ma, for that.
So the next question will be making a difference in the word as married couples.
Okay.
Making a difference, setting a standard. We've seen your marriage, and it has changed a lot of things. Recently, we saw Prophet suddenly. And suddenly, a lot of things are shaking. And when I saw the one for tomorrow, I was telling my husband, there's still something about this pastor's thing that is still the one that will be showed tomorrow. You're making a difference in ministry. People are beginning to understand things. What are the challenges in trying to make a difference? Because a lot of people know that these things are wrong, that was portrayed in the movie. I'm using the movie as an example. A lot of people know these things are real, these things are wrong. A lot of people have not said it. Or even if they've said it, nobody has actually acted it. Now it came as an entertainment, yet there's so much moral lessons, there's so much exposure. What are the backlash? What are the positive, thing you've gotten from it? Just tell me generally, the good and the bad.
Over to you, Professor. Professor Odile.
Okay, so basically it's about the movie, right?
Yeah, so what are the backlashes have you been through? Challenges
that come with it. Of making a difference.
Making a difference in the world.
Okay, basically I think the major challenge you face whilst you are working with God and wanting to make a difference is your willingness to work with His will. I think that is the basic challenge, everybody wants to make an impact. Everybody wants to lead the way for Christ, but not everybody is willing to carry the cross.
Yeah.
So it's one thing for us to cry loud that, oh, we love Jesus. It's one thing for Him to demand from us our attention, and we are not there. And for example, in Scripture, it wasn't hard for the disciples to scatter when Jesus died. And when they saw little war, they all fled. Peter, for example, immediately went back to fishing. Jesus, went back immediately to his business and all. So that is just a typology of our society today. So everybody wants to make an impact, but not everybody is willing to carry the cross. Because the cross is not easy. It takes a lot. It takes sacrifice, Jesus is not calling you into this assignment and is promising you a car. He's not calling you, promising you a house or promising you rest or peace. He's calling you into nothing. The only word He says is, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. How He will make you, He will not tell you. The process, He will not tell you. He just says, follow me. So that's basically the challenge. So it goes round into every aspect of our lives, whether you are a content creator or a filmmaker, or you're into relationship and marriage, or you're a pastor, that basically is the challenge. The truth is that when we begin to align to His will and not our will, the ability to kill our own will, and we follow God, we will definitely make impact in our generation. That's where a lot of people miss it. We want to help God. Let me work first. If I can make small money, I will help God I will fund it, and you miss it. And God said, I need you to do this now. So these are the little challenges. So let me marry first. If I can just marry first, myself and my husband. And God said, I need you to start now as a single lady. So these are the challenges, these are the problems, If we can get it right by killing our will and aligning to the will of God, you just realize that you definitely will make an impact in your generation.
Yeah, and then it also gives you the strength to handle the challenges that comes with you obeying His will, with you accepting His will. It gives you the strength to carry it. It gives you the boldness, and it gives you the resources, because, for example, in line with Prophet Suddenly, when it was released, there are a lot of backlashes. When you are revealing the truth, people are getting transformed, but some other persons are, criticizing, hitting hard, all of that. And then, we cannot be ignorant of the spiritual attacks also that comes with being out there as well. So God gives the strength when you obey His will. Criticisms will come, critics will come, the attacks comes. Honestly, we've been through a whole lot, but God gives us, the wisdom on how to respond or not, or be silent, and then He gives us His chariots of fire, surrounds us with His chariots of fire, and all that. Because when we expose the truth out there are feedbacks.
It was funny.
There are feedbacks as well.
When the one that's coming out tomorrow, someone was telling me that they want to release another one so they can cover because of the backlash of Prophet Suddenly. They want to release one quickly and cover it. So he saw the trailer and called me. It's another one. They're not releasing something different. It's another exposure. Exactly. I say, I've never seen anything.
we saw the chicken, they pulled it, there was blood, and...
So the trailer was like, this is another one. They're not changing, they're not covering that one, they're bringing out more. So you never see anything. They are very deliberate about what they are doing. And it's a good one. It's a good one. It's not easy to manage both. The critics and when you're doing something really good, because the society we live in now, they can go to the extreme, these critics, and it takes a lot of strength. And we are really proud and we appreciate that. Not everybody can do that.
So I have another question.
Okay.
This is about your life journey.
Okay.
When I heard you speak in Worry about your journey, we could relate. It was as if, God asked us to be in that meeting so we could just, this is how your life will be later. Just, looking at your journey and everything you said you went through. People see the windows and they're like, oh my God, they're here now. They may not actually understand the pain, the tears, the time you almost gave up, the time you're like, did God really call me? What's happening? What's happening to my finance? You're giving me a vision. Why are you not financing it? What's happening? A lot of things happen. This is to us and to everybody listening. What would be your greatest advice to people that God has called? Maybe into the creatives, using skits, using songs, using whatever. And it seems like right now they're in their state where things are just slow, things are not working. What would be your advice? What held you? What was that thing you held on to? That today you look back, you say, oh yes, thank God I had this mindset. Thank God I had this revelation. And that's why I'm here.
Okay.
What was that thing we held on to? Knowing that we were instructed by God to do what we're doing. That's like the last line of question you asked. So I would say that's one thing we held on to, honestly, because I think you mentioned you started following us from school. School wasn't the first skit, yeah. Well, I shot even up to 13 to 20, they were about, I can't remember. Well, I shot all that skits, yes, and people didn't know us. Had few views, some boy, just like that, we're just churning out and like that before we now got to shoot the school that we shot. School that we shot, at the period we shot it, I think my husband is a better storyteller. At the period we shot school, we had a lot of, we were robbed that period, yeah. They took our equipment, everything, and just out of the frustration we received from the whole thing, we had to go and reshoot the story again. And at that point in time, the audio file, one of the audio file got missing.
Wow.
Yes, and all of that. So we had to reshoot it again. Went to our friend's studio, reshot the video. And somehow, when it was being edited, while the editing was going on, my husband just said, this school that was mentioned, should I just cut it? It doesn't add up. I just told him, just put it. Have we not tried? I beg, just put it in. Out of frustration, we just did like that. Before you knew it, that was the skit that actually, announced us. That particular video announced us, and people thought that was like actually the first skit we were releasing, but we had been at the backside. Let's say we had been in our wilderness, and that was the skit that launched us. So what kept us to that point was the instruction of God in our life. God actually specifically told, my husband was watching, is it a film or a video?
A secular comedy.
Yeah, a secular comedy. And, right there, he got the instruction, that he should, how was it the exact word?
Create skits
for the kingdom, all of that. And that was how the whole thing started. So while we're going through all that season, what we kept on was the word. So one of the things I would say is, whatever you're going to do in life, make sure you hear God.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the promise, the instruction is not going to be without trials. The instruction is not just going to come smooth. When he told Abraham to go into the land, he will show you. He didn't tell him the land, but he didn't tell him also the journey, what it would take, and everything that we embark on, and all of that. So it's a whole lot. So you need to remember, one of the things that kept us going was the word. He told us this. So we're going in that strength of the word. That's what kept us going.
Thank you, Mom.
Yeah.
Even when there was no finance.
Even when there was no
you
finance.
have situations whereby God says do this.
Yes.
And you plan.
Yes.
You plan. And then execute now, there's no finance to do
Of
it.
course.
And many times you're scared of going on with it, you now postpone. Let me try and work some money and try to do it. Okay, and then you're pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. Sometimes at the end of the day, maybe because the obedience was partial, or you didn't do it when God said you should do it, maybe there might be issues. But what do we do in that situation? There's no money. I've planned it, God, I've obeyed, I've planned everything.
Yeah.
But I can't do it without money, and I don't have the money. I know you guys have passed through something like that before. What did you do at that moment?
Okay, I think that when God gives us an assignment, we should ask Him for the timing. Because it's one thing for God to give you an assignment, and a lot of us do not bother to ask the time. So God can say, raise for me a people, gather them, and do a mega crusade in the town where you gather 5,000 people or 10,000 people. And you know that the income that comes to your ministry is less than 5,000 naira. And you gather your people and say, God has told us to move and take over the city. You realize that you see a lot of young people, that's where they go borrow money, they now run into debt. After the program, people are looking for them and pursuing them because they need to pay. Every instruction of God has a time. It has a season. Certain times when God speaks to us, the first assignment He wants us to do is to pray about it. Prayer becomes the incubator. It's prayer that now put flesh into the bone, into the structure. So it has a season, and that's what we have noticed. There's a season. We did not just come to where we are now. There were seasons. God told us about now. For example, when I was asking my wife out, that's 2009. Yeah, 2009. When I was asking her out, I told her, I said, follow me and I'll take you around the world. That's what I told her. I said, when I told her that, I was squatting in my pastor's house and the only property I had was a laptop. You know, but then I'd seen that God was going to make me great. You know, I didn't go and borrow money to take her around the world as at that time. I knew that there was a time for it. You know, so it didn't happen the first year, it didn't happen the second year, it didn't happen the fourth, it didn't happen the fifth, it didn't happen the sixth. I think it was around the seventh or the eighth year that it happened, that it became a reality. You know, so when God speaks, there's a timing. So even in our skit making and the film making, God told us about film making from the day we started skits. You know, but we didn't go and start borrowing money and force it. You know, when the time came, you know, the fullness of time, He made the provision for it, and He made everything easy in the fullness of time. So if we understand that principle, when God gives us a vision and realize that we do not have the capital for it yet, what we should do is to spend time in prayers, so that through prayers, we start bringing the unseen into the physical reality, you know, and we should not try to force things. We just realize that God makes things beautiful in His time and not our time.
True.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much, sir. Just another question before we go start concluding.
Okay.
You know, sometimes in marriage, both the husband and the wife, they have different callings.
Yeah.
It might even be in ministry, but just different departments of ministry. How do one support the calling of your wife? Many times we see people get married, and because of marriage, the calling that they have, it goes into hiding in a way of supporting the spouse. It's mostly the wives. You know, they try to support the husband's ministry, and the dreams they have or the calling that they have to press it down to support the husband's son. And I feel it's supposed to be that both can shine. But then how do you support your partner's ministry when there is a situation like that? In a situation whereby trying to make sure that both gain expression without one hindering the other one.
I don't think there's really a big deal. It becomes a big deal when people are battling with insecurity. It's not, that the person is married to you doesn't mean the person should go down or be in a hidden state. But I think some men are insecure, that's the truth. You know, they're not able to identify, and they're not able to identify that they've not been able to accept the person's call. I had a close friend who was into music, you know, music ministry, and she got married to this man, and the man suppressed it, and today there's nothing of such, you know. Yes, so I feel this thing starts from before you even get married. That's the truth. A lot of people are blind to it. Before you get married, when you are having conversations with where you're going to, what does the person say? Do you observe the person's response? Do you also observe the person's action? Because the person might also say something good, but the action is wrong. Yeah. The person can say, oh, I will support you. It doesn't end in lip service. A person who will support you see action. Let me give an example. When I'm husband, we're in a relationship, then Seth, my call had not even sharpened. It was even the one that pushed me into what he was saying. I had the dream, but like he would always tell me, it doesn't end in dream, push it, you know what kind of, so he would always push. When I was in a relationship, he saw it when we were in a relationship. I remember times in my little time when I would tell him, oh, because I served in 2 ministries. When I would tell him, I'm going for this, or they gave me this 5, even when I want to turn it down, I say, don't turn it down, you will go for it. He will send me videos, he will send me, action. He wasn't just saying, I will support. In fact, his words were lesser than, his actions were louder than his words. He would support, he would give me books to read, we would discuss, we had Friday night of prayers and conversations. He will always be there. He will say, how far was there a video? If they have to live stream, he will check it. All those kind of stuff. You will see the action, and you will know in your spirit that this person is not pretending. Because even if the person is pretending, he will not pretend for a long time. Somehow, if you are sensitive in spirit, you will pick the signal. You know, so it starts from the relationship. But I found out that especially ladies, they get very carried away with the emotions and they forget their destiny. They forget that there's an assignment in their life that is more important than the marriage itself. Like what I mean is, if I know I'm called to something, I should be interested in the person that's going to partner with me to fulfill it. So it starts from the relationship. What is the person saying? How is the person acting beyond his words? So by the time you now get into marriage, it's not at that time you want to start convincing the person. It's from the beginning that you begin to observe all of these things and now know if it's the person you should go with beyond emotions. So a lot of people stay on the emotion. Oh, he will change. Oh, he said the words. Don't worry, because he said the words, that's it. What are his actions? How is he acting? So by the time you now get married, you now begin to repair what you should have prevented. So you now get married to the person. You're not trying to like, oh, he's not supporting your call. He's not this. At the end of the day, what do you do at that point in time? You have to pray and get help from counsel from mentors. But one of the things I've seen is, the truth is, many people, some men do not understand that their role is not just being a husband. It's not a position thing. It's not just being called a husband. It's that you are called into the position of a bridegroom. You are meant to groom your bride. And if I know that I'm meant to groom my bride, if you are grooming somebody, you can't suppress the person. My husband never suppressed me. I was even the one trying to suppress myself. Like, rise up, that kind of thing. Yeah, so it is not, the role of the bridegroom is that you groom your bride. And when you're actually grooming somebody, the person has the capacity to exceed you. Actually, if you are really training, if you are training somebody, if you train a child, if you were, for example, you are trying to train a child in the way you should go, and you see that, for example, your child has some character that is like you, maybe the good one, and you are training, what do you expect? You see that your child now becomes louder than you in the behavior you have trained him or her. So the same thing with your spouse. If you're actually grooming your bride has the capacity, tendency to exceed you. That is the groom. So in that way, she rises. And as she's rising, your name she's rising with. If she's rising with your name, who takes the glory, really, is the man. Do you understand? So these are the things that are not properly defined, not properly conversed, not properly observed. So you get into marriage and trying to like have a back and forth and all of that. And that's what it is. So I would say that before you get married, for the singles, observe the person's words, observe the person's action. Make sure that you are convinced. Make sure that the actions and the words are synced before you say yes to the person. If there is no conviction, please don't say yes. And then when you are into marriage, please, maybe also, another thing I want to say is this, there are seasons also in marriage. For example, maybe you get married to the person and you also have a call and the person is trying to navigate, you guys are trying to come to a point where, okay, you know what, you just hold on, support me right now in this area. When I'm building up, you can now, come up. For now, just so some things can also, you understand your season, understand the person. So some things can actually lie low a bit. And later on, you realize that it's not a thing of insecurity. Over time, you now see that the person is not trying to bring you up again, but you guys are just in a season of building a particular part. So by the time you get to that point, the person is now going to bring you up. So understand your season as well. But beyond it, before you get married, make sure you observe words and action. Then when you get into marriage, understand where you are. But when you realize that it's a thing of insecurity, where you're seeing that your partner is not willing to allow you rise up or grow, that's where the help of mentor comes in, and then you need to pray at that point in time. That's the truth, because now you're going to be curing now than what you should have prevented.
Yeah. They always say submit to your husband in everything. That's what
I wanted to touch there. I want to touch there, but I said let me leave it so that we don't get it.
Submit to your husband in everything. To your own husband.
That's the definition of submission, please.
That's what they always use. Well, thank you very much, Ma, for that. In conclusion, I think our viewers need to know that marriage, ministry, and mission can work. It can work. You can do your best. It may not be perfect, but you can balance it as much as you can with the help of God. It's okay to support each other. It's okay to support your callings. It's okay to allow each other to rise and shine. This is what we're trying to talk about. And it's good at the end of the day, you fulfill your calling, and then the target is met. The target is met. We can do family, we can do marriage, we can do ministry together and be successful and still please God. We should not be scared of it. It's something that we can achieve. We should not bring rules and regulations that the society brings to try to curb these things. It is achievable. And with the help of God always, and with the points and everything we've heard from our wonderful guests today, I know it is possible, and I know we will do it to the glory of God and to the joy of our hearts with God helping us. Thank you so much.
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank you so much.
So much for having us.
Nice
Thank
having
you.
here today.
We are very grateful.
We hope to have you sometime later.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
Thank you very much. Because we have our young people that want to do ministry. They want to do well in ministry. And we need mentors like this, that even when you can't access physically, with podcasts and programs like this, you can get advice that you can apply to your personal life.
Very true.
So we hope you can have us again sometime.
Thank you. We'll be so glad to honor
God
it.
bless you, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you for joining today. It was a wonderful time. I know you enjoyed yourself. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to on the notifications, and then follow us on our various platforms as seen on your screen. And God bless you. Okay, till we see you again. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.